Hello, everybody out there. Um, it's again time for a live chat with Tarot e.V. And I'm very, very happy to have Darren Shill with me, who is a very nice guy and a successful tarot publisher, which is a great combination, I think. Hi, Darren.
Hi, Kirsten. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Better than 2 months ago. And you too said you have been living a bit like a hermit during the past time. You are living in London, so
Yes, it's funny. Living in a metropolis with many millions of people, and yet at the same time, feeling like I'm living in a cave as a recluse.
yeah.
Yeah, very much the hermit from the tarot.
But on the other hand, it's very cheap because London is an expensive town. You can sit at home and save your money.
I know you visited for the tarot conference several times, so you know all too well the price of accommodation.
Yeah, it's
and eating in general.
For breathing, I think you have to pay in London, but never mind. Yes, exactly. I met Darren at the Tarot conference in London last year, and Darren promoted his Modern Witch Tarot. It's not his Modern Witch Tarot, but you have published the Modern Witch Tarot in Britain, right?
Yes. Yes. So we did a co-edition in the US with Sterling, but it came from us originally.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to talk about this a bit later. First of all, as I said when we just chatted a bit, I think it's very idealistic to work as a publisher these days, and then to do tarot. When did you start doing this?
In terms of publishing,
yes,
we started in 2017. It was myself and my co-founder, Mike Medallia, who's a best-selling author and illustrator as well. So we came together then, and the project that brought us together was the Lunar Soul Tarot that we worked on together for 5 months. And at the same time as doing that, we were conscious that there were lots of other projects that we wanted to get involved in. So we did some yoga deck. We did a series called Mini Meditations. So several ones. We also were mindful that for the tarot, we'll talk about it here specifically, it was something that we wanted to kind of have sort of an iterative process. That what we learned from our first deck, what worked, what didn't work, we could sort of feed on to our next deck. So it would always improve. We could get better cardstock, better design, better instruction booklet, which is, I think we hopefully we achieved that when we came to the Modern Witch.
And you said you were working for 5 months on the deck, so this is your creation?
No, it's very much. I think it's very much Mike is the illustrator, and much of the ideas. Mike doesn't have much of a tarot background. Right? I've read tarot since I was 16, so as I say, giving the game away like over 30 years. So it's a passion of mine, and so I could. I was the consultant. I was the weight to his Smith, but the Smith had the Pamela Colman Smith in this process. Mike had a much stronger recognition and involvement. It's very much. I'd say it's very much his deck, but I was a lot of my soul is also in there too.
And I couldn't see the deck so well when you showed it. What can you show us a few cards so people can have an impression of the deck?
Sure. So we're starting off with the Magician here. So you can see the colours are very sort of pastel.
Yes.
Very light, very soft. It's very approachable. I think this one has a lot of Rider-Waite-Smith in it, but there's more diversity. There's twists on the image. It's quite playful. Every image, certainly in the major arcana, has an animal associated with it. Here we have the High Priestess, and you can see the camel's head. Obviously, the camel associated with the Hebrew letter Gimel, which the High Priestess is often associated with as well. So there's lots of subtle nods. This is the Empress, one of my favourite cards. It's my favourite card, I think, in every deck. I think everyone has a card that they go to in a deck to say, do I like this deck? You know, it's your personal card. And for me, it's the Empress. I think this is beautiful. This is a wonderful Empress.
It's lovely.
So it's a very soft. Yeah, thank you. Very soft deck, very welcoming. I think it's quite. We had good reaction for beginners getting involved in tarot, but it's also different enough, I think, for collectors to have interest there. You see here the Hierophant.
Wow.
Very different than normal kind of picture you might see. So there are some quite radical differences. And it's quite nice when you hear back from professional readers saying that it's been a very good deck to work with clients because it's quite comforting. It's quite welcoming.
Yeah.
You know, the Thoth, for example, is somewhat more stark deck to work with. So this is some lovely feedback.
And this was published 2 years ago, basically.
Yes. We did a print run of about 2,000 copies. 2 years ago, they sold out in about 6 months, and we didn't reprint at the time because we're moving on to the Modern Witch, which I'll mention in a bit. So that kind of took up our time and our energy. But we're re-releasing the Lunar Soul next spring. Hopefully through Sterling in the US. So it's really great. We're looking forward to that. It's the cornerstone of Liminal 11. So it has a very, very special place in both mine and Mike's hearts. And I think now is a very good time for a warmer, softer deck to be out there. I think in the current environment, it's quite a sort of healing deck. It's the right time for this to be out and being used by people.
And so Mike did the illustrations, as far as I understand. How did you come up with the idea of doing this whole project?
Yeah, interesting. Me and Mike go back a long way.
Mm-hmm.
We met many, many years ago at a comics discussion group. We both have a passion for comics, which is where a lot of our creators' backgrounds come from. And there was a comics discussion group in a shop called Gosh in Soho in London.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine was jointly running it with Mike. So I went along to support my friend also because I love comics in general, so it sounded like a fun night out. And I met Mike there, and we got on like a house on fire, and we stayed in, once the discussion group sort of had run its course, we stayed in contact. I loved his work. He did a series for Self-Made Hero called 1 Year Wiser, which are fantastically sort of marrying quotes with illustrations. Fantastic. And so I loved his work, and I kept in contact at comic festivals, but also followed him online. And I spotted a comment one day in his website where somebody had said, Mike, you should really create a tarot. You'd make an absolute wonderful tarot. And it struck me. I was like, yeah, it's very, very true. He would make an absolutely incredible tarot. So I got in contact with Mike and said, look, I want to help you sort of make this. I have a bit of tarot knowledge and background, so I can help in that respect. And also, I can help sort of financially to kind of get it off the ground. We'll go through crowdfunding. If we wanted to use Kickstarter or something like that, we could create it and try to sell it to a publisher. And then the third option, which was the wildest of them all, was to actually create our own publishing house. And there we are. A couple of years later, no regrets.
That's really amazing, and obviously you sold the first edition quite well. Otherwise, it wouldn't have to be reprinted. Amazing. Before we talk about the Modern Witch Tarot, there's Lakshmi has a question. I'm not quite sure what question. What do you mean, Lakshmi, by what does the Empress card and the Hanged Man say? Do you mean in regards to the deck Darren has been showing, or in general? Perhaps you could specify what you mean, and then he might be able to give you a better answer.
I can talk to the Empress.
Yes.
you know. So I'll bring them both out. So the Empress in the Lunar Soul, it differs from some. I'll show you the connections. It is obviously quite a familiar Rider-Waite-Smith pose. However, she's pregnant in this image, and it really kind of connects more strongly, perhaps, than the normal Empress, with the sense of maternity and maternal instincts there. So that's what a lot of the other symbolism is still there. You've got the symbol of Venus on one of the cushions, just as you have in Rider-Waite-Smith. She's holding a scepter, and you've got the cornfields here, so connecting it again with Demeter and sort of the sense of fertility. But I think the sense of motherhood is much more strong in the Lunar Soul than the typical tarot deck.
Yeah. I always feel that in the Waite-Smith deck, she's more of a lover than a mother.
Yes.
And perhaps she's pregnant. We don't know really because she has such a loose dress. But yeah, it's very nice. And she's also not white, is it?
Correct. Yeah. So I think it's something that followed on in the Modern Witch, obviously, quite strongly. But diversity is and representation is very important to us. I mean, my personal view is I think the tarot has to really represent the world that you see and you know. So for the Victorians, you know, Rider-Waite-Smith, maybe that was, you know, partly the world that they understood a bit better. But I think in the modern world, if you're not showing diversity and representation, you're showing a very strange view of the world. It seems to be very filtered, if you want, for representing. And we want people of colour from you know, from all perspectives, to be able to use the tarot and see themselves in the cards as well, which is strong feedback we had on the Modern Witch Tarot as well. That a lot of positive messages that people who couldn't perhaps normally see themselves in the tarot could finally kind of identify a bit better, which is brilliant. It's exactly what we want.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Modern Witch Tarot. You said you meet the people whom you're going to publish through your passion for comics, and Liza Sterling is also doing comics, right?
Correct. Yeah. So she fits our in many respects. She fits Liminal 11 very, very well. And one of those aspects is that she is a comics illustrator. She did a comic called Long Lost, and one called Submerged. Great comics, sort of horror comics. I thoroughly recommend. If you like the Modern Witch, please go and find
horror comics.
You'll enjoy them. We don't publish those, so I'm not advertising for us. But yeah, she does have a comics background, and we think there's something special about comics creators who are working with tarot, because they know how to create a narrative in a picture, which is exactly what the tarot is. So they can refine that down to just the one image and can convey the story. There's something particularly powerful, I think, about comics writers sort of creating tarot. So
this means, I mean, we don't know in whether the tarot was invented as a storyline, like when you go through the major arcana, but it means that you kind of say, okay, this is a storyline, and we're going to make it as a storyline now, right?
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes, and when you think about doing a spread, when you think about laying out the cards, particularly if it's, say, you're traveling around a month and sort of seeing a sequence of events potentially, if that's the way you're using the cards, the sequential arcs, just like a comic, you know, it's one image after the next telling the story. And then there's the Fool's Journey, as you say. There's another perspective on the major arcana that this is one story that you're following, which is wonderful. And I think when you do a spread, sometimes it is literally a comic. It's nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, you're quite right. I would say story, but of course you can call it a comic because there are pictures. I never thought of this.
Yes, exactly.
Funny.
Exactly that.
So how did you meet Liza?
So we found we have different ways of sort of approaching people. Sometimes people approach us, but more commonly, especially when we as a company were less well known, we have to go to find the artists. and we found Lisa's work through Instagram, actually. So she produced 3 images. The first image she produced was this, the Ten of Swords. And it's everything. She had the strap line rather than the Ten of Swords. It said everything is fine, which is wonderful. It's a person lying on the ground with the swords. As you traditionally see them, sort of embedded in the person, but she's on a mobile phone.
It's a crazy pic. I really love it.
It's wonderful. It really it's iconic for the dead. And there's a lot of interpretations from this. It's whether we're sort of showing like a face that we show out to the world through social media, where we're sort of saying, I'm fine, all is good, but then behind the screen, you've got the 10 swords, firmly within yourselves. Or that social media itself is perhaps causing that. It can show a sense of denial, but I think it's also there's a message of hope there as well, because whenever I see the 10 of swords, for me, it's the bottom of the cycle. There's only one way to go from the Ten of Swords, and that is up. That is better. It's improvement. So maybe everything is fine because the future is not going to get any worse.
Yeah, I guess at the point when you are in a Ten of Swords situation, everything is fine anyway because it can't get worse. It's always what I think. So
exactly.
I really like this. But did you find this image on Instagram, or did you just saw her potential and told her to do a tarot? I didn't really get this.
No. So we saw it on Instagram. She'd already created this image. By the time that we approached her, I think she'd done 2 more. I think the Empress was one of those images. I think it might have been the High Priestess as well. We saw 3 cards, and that was enough for us as a publisher to say, this is incredible. This is fantastic. We must work with this deck. We can connect with this so easily and wonderfully. So we contacted Lisa. And she had questions that were, very valid. She showed a lot of faith in us. For example, we're a UK publisher. How are we going to sell her deck in the US and not have to charge people shipping and what have you? So we explained that we were very focused on having a US distributor to sort of help us in that respect, and we got one for the deck. But even with all of that. It was a leap of faith for Lisa to go with us. And I think there were bigger companies that came along slightly after we were starting to get interested. But she decided to go with us. So I hope it all worked out for her. I can talk to the sales numbers and they've done very well. So I hopefully it's been good for Lisa.
I think in October you said that you sold loads and loads of exemplare, my English, decks, even before you had printed them, right?
Yes, so we did pre-orders through our website, and we like to do alongside the standard edition, we like to do something a bit special, and this was our special edition that we did for the one which is the box that it came in. This very recently we won. The Cover Awards, Coalition of Visionary Resources, for the best, the Gold Award for Tarot Products, 2019.
So what is this? I have never heard of this award.
Yes, we won an award, or Lisa won an award. And it's for the special edition. So this was a limited edition that we did. It came with an enamel pin, a patch, a bag. I'll show you the bag because it's beautiful. We love tarot bags. So we like to have a different tarot bag for each of our decks. That if you buy directly from us, then we provide the bag too. And then for the deck itself, I'll just reach back here. We splashed out on gold foiling.
Wow!
See that?
That is really lovely.
Yeah, came out very well.
You also had this great pin of the Ten of Swords I really liked.
Yes. I'll see if I have that at hand. Here we have it. It might be hard to see.
It's very tiny.
Yes, Yeah. So it's the same image as the card.
I think everybody should wear it these days, and
Yes.
we might get a better communication again. Actually, perhaps anybody who's watching, what you couldn't see in the deck right now is that it's basically, I would say, a transgender deck. There's, I think Lisa is also in the transgender scene, right?
Well, yeah. So the in terms of gender for the deck, it's a fully female deck. There are no males in. So
there's one male in there. I found one. On the
really?
lovers. On the lovers, there is a man.
Oh no, but you don't know because they're facing away from you.
Yeah, but it looks very male to me. So I have here the magician, which I really think is I have to put it better. Really lovely. I think it's a very good interpretation of the magician because it's not only a woman but also I hope I say it right, a black person. I'm not very good with the political language these days in English now. So it's a very modern way of putting the magician into view. And I also like this fool a lot. Not only because it's a woman, but because the city is in the background. And this is for me. This is for me the modern approach. Actually, one card, the Four of Wands, is now my new social distancing card because I think I really like the way they are waving from the background in the city, but you can't come close like you in London, right now.
I love that.
So. I've been working quite a bit with the deck now, and I did actually readings with the deck. And I thought in the beginning, people will mind perhaps that's only women, but actually they are really all quite into it, and they especially like these little things like this mobile on the Ten of Swords, or the High Priestess, for example, has a laptop in her lap, on her lap. It's really great ideas, I think. So for me, it's a deck you really should have when you want to do readings in the 21st century.
Yes, it's feedback we hear very often is that it's a deck that's very direct and quite easy to work with. I think the connection with the Rider-Waite-Smith is clear there, but the fact that it's modernised and it's diverse is very important in people being able to make a stronger connection, perhaps even than with the Rider-Waite-Smith.
Yeah, and the deck is coming out in Germany, I think, end of this year. So I'm very happy that people can buy it here now, and I think there will be quite a lot of people buying it because I talk about it all the time now.
Wonderful.
It's not, obviously not.
I owe you a drink, Kirsten.
Yes. No, it's really something I can highly appreciate because it's done with a lot of love, and I'm not a great fan. We're back again. We were frozen. I'm not a great fan of the Waite deck personally. I much prefer the Foth deck myself, but with these kind of interpretations, I'm really happy. So
good.
Yeah.
I started on the Thoth. That was my first deck. Sorry.
I think a certain age, or certain people in a certain age have all started with a Thoth deck. I have to say.
Yes.
It's I liked it a lot, especially because there were words on it. Nobody liked the words, but I was very into the words, and it was for me much easier to learn tarot thanks to the words. What I haven't asked you yet is how. What does the name of your publishing house mean? Liminal 11. Oh, good. Is it magical?
Very good question. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. No, you're quite right. So, yeah, it is. This will take half an hour, but
okay.
I'll try to give you the abbreviated version. So liminal, I'll come to the number in a moment, but liminal is a reference to liminal spaces and liminal times, sort of transitional times. So obviously, in terms of spaces, it could be where the sea meets the shore, or where a mountain touches the sky. In terms of times, it could be midnight, that transition from one day to another. Or it could be, like a moment in your life, a liminal moment, getting married, or going through your teenage years. This sort of transition, this movement. So it's neither one space nor another in a funny way. So, and I think there's a magical connection there. That's why spells might be cast at midnight, or spells might be cast on the shoreline, because there is a special quality to this space that stands almost slightly outside of time. And I think for us, the connection there, we have our tagline is light at the crossroads. And what we're trying to, I guess, sort of convey there is that hopefully things that we create, things that we do, can kind of help people in those liminal moments, and those moments of transition, those moments of question, when you're neither in one place nor another, or when you're at the crossroads, and looking for guidance, looking for help, perhaps. And hopefully that's where some of the things we do, especially tarot, can play a very strong role. So that's the liminal part of it. And then the 11, we had, when we started, I was thinking and talking to Mike, I said, we could do liminal publishing, but that's frankly quite dull. We need something else. So we thought about numbers. We thought, okay, well, there's going to be an esoteric quality to our company. So bringing in some numerology would be good and helpful. And I said, I've got a number in mind. I said, it's not going to be, the classic 7s or the 8s, all these kind of good fortune numbers that you might think of. So I've got something else. And he said to me, if you say the number I'm thinking of, then I can't say no to this whole crazy idea. And I said, it's 11. And then he showed me a tattoo, which I'd never seen or registered before, on his arm of the number 11. And it holds a very special quality in Mike's life. It's sort of a number that it seems to be a number where sort of amazing things have happened for him. And he's a Zen Buddhist, and he holds almost sort of an abstract sort of quality connected to his faith, to this as well. So I think he got there's all these moments in his life where 11 has been crazily significant. And for me, it was the kind of the union of 5 and 6, which obviously has a quite strong sort of magical connection there. Sometimes 5 is seen as like a number symbolizing humanity, and 6 is sometimes seen as like a higher power, like a sort of your higher self, your guardian angel, however you want to see it. And the union of the two is this sense of self-improvement, of moving beyond, and reaching a better life, which again connected to the liminal, connected to the light at the crossroads. So there's all of this, and if you look at our logo, I believe there's. Do I have it here? I must have it here somewhere. Yeah, so we've got 6 rays of sun over 5 stars. So we bring the 11 into our logo as well. So the stars are the 5 pointed stars. So again, symbolising man, humanity, and the rays of the sun, sort of Kabbalistic for the higher self that hopefully ascends to in some way in our life.
It's interesting. And is the 11 for you in tarot strength or justice?
Very good question. So for me personally, it's strength. So I go back to the Thoth system. I think right away it was the other way around. But I think traditionally the Marseille was 11 for strength. So yeah, I'm a traditionalist. I say 11 for strength.
Okay, yeah, it's befitting for the modern witch tarot as well. Then, so
yes.
Are you planning on other tarot decks to publish?
Yes, very much. It's as I say, it's the cornerstone of what liminal does. There are other elements to us, but it's become very much identified with us. So later this year, we have 2 more decks coming up. I'll share the first one, which is the Cosmic Slumber Tarot. And
Cosmic Slumber.
as in sleep. Yeah, so it's by comics artist called Tilly Walden.
Tony? Did you say Tony?
Tilly.
Tilly.
Tilly. Yeah, Tilly.
Mm-hmm.
And she won an Eisner Award a couple of years ago. She's saying sort of like the Oscars for comics. She's very, very well known on the comic scene. Wonderful art, beautiful colours.
Amazing.
Yeah, very striking. All of this was hand painted. She has to. We've seen the originals. It's incredible. Very beautiful work. So this is quite an analog work. It's quite an old world feel, which I guess contrasts to the Modern Witch in some respects. And she's taken some quite original takes on many of these cards. You'll see that in the Minor Arcana as well. So that's wonderful. That's hopefully, I believe, coming out around September, late September on that. And then we have one by Alba Ballesta Gonzalez, who's a Spanish artist. Again,
sorry, can you say the name again? Albert?
Alba, A-L. B-A, Ballesta Gonzalez.
Okay.
And she's a Spanish artist. She has about
I like that.
You like that? Great. That's the Queen of Pentacles.
She looks good.
So Alba has a huge following on Instagram, about 114,000 people at the moment. And this deck has got a lot of interest. It's very, very much anticipated. A lot of people out there are asking us for the release date on this one. We're very much looking forward to showing it. It's a wonderful, wonderful deck. It's incredible. I'd say the Newman in the name is a reference to sort of spirit animals, which you see throughout the whole deck. And the style is slightly more fantastical than some of our other works. I would say there's your comics. There's a famous French comics artist called Mobius.
I know him well, and these comics I know.
Good.
I like French comics.
Great, Mobius is amazing. So this is a start for me at least. I can see some of his sort of inspiration there. Yeah, so they're both coming out this year. We have another one. I was about to announce a secret, but we have another one as well as the Lunar Soul coming out in spring. And again, it's watercolor based in terms of style.
So the one in September coming out. Are you going to be at the Tarot conference again?
Yes, this time I'm going to be speaking.
Quite
nervous about that.
I remember. Sorry. And so yes. You will be presenting the deck, basically.
Yeah, well, what I'm presenting, I'm doing a workshop on the first night regarding journaling in tarot, because we're bringing out a journal connected to the Modern Witch tarot, which I believe you've
exactly. I can show you. Just hold on. Oh, that's wrong. Sorry. I have to go here. Exactly. So I go to the beginning here. I have to get used to this. So this is a journal for. Is it a journal for any year or just for 2021?
Yeah. So there's no calendar aspect to it. In that sense, so it can be used in any year or for any time period. It doesn't necessarily have to cover a year. You could use it for 5 years if you wanted. It's a very thick piece. I've got a dummy kind of work here. You can see how, it's chunky, about 250 pages, and a lot of different sections in it. We wanted to, we worked obviously very close release on this, and all of us wanted to create something that was special, that was kind of best in class. So we looked at many other tarot journals. And we wanted to have a lot of guidance. So there's about 10 sections in there, all sorts of different parts that you can work with. And before each section, there's a great deal of text and step-by-step guidance on how to use, and lots of beautiful images. Lisa's created, I think, about sort of 8 new images. Some of these are double-page images. They're huge, beautiful illustrations. All original, as well as a lot of art from the original deck as well.
and it's not a diary; it's a journal. Sorry, I was mixing up. So you kind of write down what you think about the cards, and I understand now. Yeah, it's done very beautifully. I'm just scrolling through it because we should be. These are all the cards. Now I'm too quick, obviously. And then you have.
We move on.
Then you have a lot of stuff for how to interpret, and because this is. I think this is very good because the booklet is quite short in this deck. So it's nice to have some added information and also the possibility to do more for yourself. Doesn't work anymore.
There's a sort of I like the philosophy that the best way to learn is mostly self-taught. I think it's an experiential process as opposed to book learning. Of course, you need to study books to understand some of the symbolism, I think, originally. But once you've got past that point, I think journaling is a wonderful way to expand on that process. It's reflections on different cards, creating your own spreads, all of these aspects, wonderful to kind of self-work.
Yeah.
And you learn a great deal more. I firmly believe if you've discovered something yourself rather than had it spoon-fed to you.
Yeah, it's my belief that we program our cards basically with our own keywords. So as I said, this is my social distancing card. It's now a social distancing card. So I like to, of course, I think everybody needs to know traditional meanings because that's basically the language where people can talk with each other through. But then you also need your own ideas about readings, and this is what makes you special as a reader. So yeah, a journal is very good. I like it. Are there many journals out? I don't think we have any journals in Germany.
Well, not in terms of guided journals. Very, very few. There's a lot of journals where it's just a space to record a reading, and not much more than that. Or it's a space to reflect on individual cards. There's all sorts of things we've done in here, like recording spreads, and there's space to record. We like this concept of the tarot circle. In other words, a social group that you connect with regards to your tarot. And maybe it's people you meet up with on a regular basis and you read for each other and you talk about your favourite decks, and all of that very social aspect that there is to tarot. So we have space in here to kind of really connect with that, to record the meetings you might have for your tarot circle, your contact details and all the rest. Because I think more and more so, especially with interest online, tarot is a social pursuit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'm just looking. There are no more questions today. Might be that people are working again. It happens that people leave the house, but they will probably later watch the video. Usually I get a lot of feedback after the sessions. We leave the videos online, and so everybody can rewatch them. I'm sure this is going to happen. Is there anything you want to tell people?
No, I don't know. Just keep reading, keep reaching out. Like I say, the last point I was sort of making about the tarot circle. I think I think we all should try, particularly in these times, to sort of reach out and sort of form those sort of social connections through the tarot. I think I experienced this. The tarot conference where I met yourself, Kirsten, there's a real tarot family out there, and you'll see it in like Facebook groups like Tarot Nerds and all over the place. There's a wonderful community, and I'd say to people, get engaged and reach out, because you can learn an awful lot more from other people, not just from books and from your own work.
Yeah, that's what I think too. And meeting up is more and more important since we can't easily meet up these days. So that's why I like to do these live chats. During the time when we couldn't go out at all, it brought people closer together. And I think it's a really good idea still to. I really appreciate that you took the time to do this because I really want to make people aware of the tarot scene outside of Germany, and publishers are always great for this.
we try our best.
Yeah. So, probably see you in October if I'm allowed to come. I was going to fly to Manchester in 2 weeks, but they cancelled my flight, so I guess it's still difficult to go to the island. But I hope.
God, hopefully by then, hopefully we have a table next to each other as we did last year.
Yes, with masks.
Yes, with masks.
It's going to be delightful. No, I really hope that in October everything will be fine, but let's see how it works out. And if not, we do another live chat at another time, and we'll have fun like this.
I'd love to.
Okay, so I'm going to finish the live chat now. For anybody who has more questions to Darren, just write in the comments, and I will come back to you. And there's also the website of Darren online. You can just go through the Facebook announcement and see what Mike and he are doing. And I'm sure you will really like their program. Okay.
Well, that's good.
So bye to you all there, and speak to you later.